Well, this is different. Yes, my mate Anthony won this in a card game. No, actually he did. He won it in a raffle. It's the new C8. How cool is that? And we're going to be driving this around and determining kind of how it compares to my old C6, because that's the closest I can get. I missed the C7 generation completely. What a beautiful looking car. Not sure about the rear end, but there we go. Yes indeed, if you've watched some of my other videos you may well remember I'm a big fan of Corvettes. Yes indeed, my fascination started with a C3, a 1969 Stingray convertible. Still one of my favourite all-time looking cars. It's just so dramatic. But anyway, there's no point in comparing that with the new C8, because they're worlds apart. So long story short, if you haven't seen those episodes, then I'll throw them in the description or at the end of the video or something like that. Anyway, I chopped that in for a C6, one of the very first, pretty standard. It wasn't a Z51 or anything. It was a 2005 C6, one of the first two imported into the UK. And I have to say, I loved that car. An amazing vehicle. Had no trouble with it. The 7 years that I owned it, not a thing went wrong with it. And believe me, I drove it hard. In fact, no sooner had I got it than I took it down for a track day at Goodwood and thrashed it. It was amazing. And that's my buddy Steph in one of his friends stroke customers' cars, the Ferrari 575, no less. No, wait, I think it's 550. I can't tell the difference. Anyway, performance-wise, very comparable, which again is testament to the bang for your buck that you get with a Corvette. And that's obviously part of what we're going to be talking about today with the C8 as well, and Corvette's entry into the mid-engine supercar arena. And long story short, on the whole winning in a card game situation with my buddy Anthony, yes, it's true, he's contributed to this charity raffle for years and years and years. And he phoned me up very excited at the end of last year to say that he'd won a Corvette. And he was contemplating literally just turning it over, spinning it around, because it's a new generation. And of course, they're still fetching a premium. And I said that would be foolish to not just own it and drive it for a little bit. So that's exactly what he's doing. And that's exactly why we have this opportunity for me to drive it and compare the two. Because he's foolish enough to let me behind the wheel. He actually said I'm one of the few people that he would trust to do that. Is he mad? So why the skip in 2 generations? Well, I have to be honest. My fascination for Corvettes has decreased somewhat since I've been in the USA, because they're common out here. Everyone's got one. The reason I like them in the UK was that they're very uncommon. They're kind of quirky, and you don't see many of them. And if you haven't worked it out already, I'm a quirky kind of guy. After all the banter, when's he going to get on with the comparison? Well, just after this commercial break and message from our sponsors. Oh, wait, we don't have any, because, yeah, we're not making any money at this. We're just doing it for shits and giggles. So, if you do like what you're seeing at any point during the video, because I promise it's going to get better, please give it a thumbs up, do subscribe, and encourage others to watch my lunacy. So let's talk about first impressions, and let's talk about first impressions from the outside. Having seen one finally in the flesh, do I like the styling? Well, it's okay. Trouble is, all these supercars, for a good reason, all start to look very similar. It's all about aerodynamics and weight distribution and everything else. It's okay. Do I like it as much as a Ferrari? Probably not. Do I like it as much as a McLaren? Probably yes, because I don't really like the McLarens. I think they're ugly. It's not as crazy as a Lamborghini, but overall it's not bad. From the side, it's a little bit dubious, I have to say. And if it wasn't for that black accent, then the side panel starts to look really blocky and just kind of too much. Front end's a bit pointy for my liking, but maybe harping back to the old Stingray era. Rear lights, not really a fan. I know they're a derivation from the C7, but overall for me, I don't know, 7 out of 10. I'm a bit old school on the backlights. I like the 4 round ones. Yeah. Inside, it's a very different story. Leaps and bounds from the C6. I know most of these improvements were made in the C7 generation. Clearly much more thought gone into the design and sculpture of the interior and the materials, and just the details, everything about it, you know, twice as good as anything that Corvette have ever done before, apart from the C7, which I just said. It's still not up there with Ferrari and or Lamborghini or Aston Martin, which is a totally different approach, but vastly improved. Only thing I would say, there's lots of switches everywhere, which is a little bit too much. And the display itself is okay, except that weird and wonderful oblong-y type steering wheel completely blocked my view of pretty much all of it. So thank God for the heads-up display, because that really is amazingly good. When I had it in the C6, initially I thought, oh, this is a bit gimmicky, but actually it's bloody useful. And then there's the other screen, which looks like a bit of an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, we need to plug in and sat nav and whatever else, and let's throw it here and just stick it upright. Yeah, could do better. Looks like an afterthought. Like the paddles, love paddles. Much better way of changing gear than stick shift, I have to say, despite my age. But the whole kind of little miniature console for drive to reverse and stuff, a little bit random again, right? Oh God, where are we going to stick this? What's it going to look like? And then the whole twiddly thing that does changes from sport mode to track mode to lunatic mode. Yeah, quite nice, I guess. Anyway, enough of the minutiae and my personal opinions on the design. What's it like to drive? Well, again, totally different. Chalk and cheese, as us Brits say. Definitely no longer fitting into the muscle car category in any way, shape or form. Much more sophisticated all round. And despite a huge increase in power and performance, capability, just a very smooth delivery of all of the above or below. Yeah, you know what I mean. And for me, maybe that was a little bit of a disappointment, I have to say. But maybe I'm just old school. No fuss, no real driving skills required. Just puts it down and gets you to a speed that you didn't realise you were doing before you knew it, which is probably not a good idea, right? Just my opinion. C6, you put your foot down, it made an enormous fuss, the back end squirmed around a bit, even with traction control on, depending on the weather especially, and yeah, you knew you were going fast, it told you. Mine, because I had Billy Boat loudmouth exhaust system on it, which was very loud. So from a driver's perspective, you know, drivers in inverted commas, yeah, less of an occasion, less fun, less of a handful. Much quicker, I mean stupidly quick, I mean motorbike quick, you know, it's 0 to 60 in 2.9 apparently. Crazy. I think the C6 was 4 seconds, right? Am I right? And that's quick enough. So yes, from a performance point of view, again, obviously, totally different animal, and in the right hands on a drag strip, it would leave the C6 in the weeds. So what about the handling? Well, you know, to be honest, I didn't push it that hard because we're on a twisty mountain road, and at the same time, you know, I'd only driven it for 10 minutes before that. And I didn't want to throw it over the edge of the cliff. And Anthony didn't want to do a track day. How boring.
Cadillac line sort of tightens up a bit.
But yeah, it turns in very well. No understeer whatsoever. Goes where you point it. And if you hoof it out of the corner, there was evidence of a slight little skip, I suppose, at certain points. But really, as I said before, it just puts the power down smoothly and efficiently. And you're going faster than you think you are before you know it. Yes, I know, I'm repeating myself, but it's true. And again, that kind of comes back to my point. Is it fun to drive? Probably not, honestly. And I've had this same conversation with my buddy David many times. And it's not all about power and awesome acceleration, etc. It's all about the driving experience. And oftentimes the cars from the 70s and 80s with much less power and no electronic gadgetry are more fun to drive. Just because you have to work a little harder and you can feel everything and it tells you what it's doing. Again, maybe I'm just an old fart. But it's not about ultimate speed, otherwise you might as well just get on a train in China, right? It's about fun and connection with the vehicle and really driving it, which is why I like motorbikes. Because you're part of the machine. And with so many modern cars, you really aren't. You're so far removed from all the controls with all the computers in the way that you're kind of almost irrelevant. So, would I recommend this car? Well, you're not going to get more car for less money. It's astonishing. Bang for your buck. Again, well done, Corvette. Does it have character? I don't know. Would I buy one? No. Quite honestly, I'd rather have an old C6. Or maybe a C7. I've never driven one of those. But I think the departure from front engine to mid-engine is kind of a inevitable mistake for Corvette. But at the same time, perhaps they should consider expanding their range, and rather than just having one basic model that they manufacture variations and modifications thereof, like the Z51 and the ZR1 and the Grand Sport and whatever, which is essentially just tweaking it in a marketing exercise. Why not? Why not indeed produce another Grand Tourer, another front engine car? Ferrari do it. They have the 599 and the 458 or whatever the hell they have now. So why can't Corvette do that? I guess I need to test drive a C7 or talk to my mate Nigel Scott Dobby, who owns one. I'm not sure, I lose track of him buying and selling cars. Anyway, he of all people would know. Author of several books on the subject, or at least Corvette racing, which I thoroughly recommend. So go seek it out. Anyway, back to the matter in hand. Should you buy one? Should you not? What should you buy? It's entirely up to you. It rather depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for astonishing performance, then sure, go for the new one. If you're looking for fun, go for an older one. So again, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. There's plenty more lunacy going on this channel. And talking of which, encourage others to watch my lunacy.